I'm just wondering first what you think of this decision because, well, the president had already said it would be made public, didn't he?
Well, first of all, Joe, next time in person, I promise. As for this, well, today it won't be made public. Tomorrow, maybe it'll be made public. It'll consume a lot of attention, which should be paid on a lot of other things. First of all, we're doing those boat strikes again, and I'm with Laura Loomer.
Yeah,
I think they're unimportant in terms of achieving the objection the president had or said he had, which is to stop fentanyl coming into the United States. They have nothing to do with that. But I think that now that we may have a healthcare strategy, I still think we need a national security strategy that is meaningful, especially a rise of ISIS strategy, because while all this is going on, to remind, ISIS killed a few of our soldiers in Syria, and the president is vowing revenge. I hope he is going to be talked off the cliff, because bombing or doing some kind of action in Syria will undermine the regime we're trying to support and will probably promote ISIS rather than hurt ISIS. So ISIS is elsewhere. ISIS is in Australia. Maybe ISIS is in the United States. And we need a much better strategy worldwide against the rise of radical Islamic groups.
It's really interesting you take the conversation there after what we did see in Australia, knowing that they had apparently been radicalized, at least the thought is, in the Philippines. Jane Harman, I had that same thought. The president had a lot to be upset about last weekend with 2 mass shootings. He was upset about the Reiner killings. He's upset about a lot of things. So one place to take that out would be in Syria. He has promised a heavy damage and a concerted response. Where would he target in response to ISIS? Well,
I don't know, but I'm sure we have good intel on where ISIS is organizing in Syria. We should have had a lot better intel on the fact that
And you don't think we should strike?
No, I don't think we should attack. I think we should have a counter-ISIS strategy, which includes Syria. Of course I do. But I think attacking the country we are hoping has changed its ways. Remember, the new president of Syria was formerly a terrorist himself. And President Trump stepped up, to his credit, I think, and recognized him and his new country. He was in New York being lauded during the UN General Assembly, and he's trying to put a fragile government together. It ain't perfect, but certainly bombing his country while he is trying to right-size his country makes absolutely no sense. And it points out that we really don't have an effective strategy. This new NSS, I think, is extremely polemic and ineffective. And oh, by the way, we've also just announced, according to the Washington Post, a unified command structure. I think this means taking the power away from the heads of European Command, Central Command, which has jurisdiction over Syria, and others, very experienced 4-stars, will now lose some traction to some central thing at the Pentagon, which, according to everything I read, has decimated its top leadership, and we're making mistakes there, and it's amateur hour, and unfortunately we need our best brains and best experienced military and civilians on problems like the rise of ISIS.
Well, that reorg is a big story that you refer to. And, you know, all the while, the president says he's planning land strikes in Venezuela, Jane Harman, a new phase that will include additional seizures of oil tankers and land strikes, potentially targeting drug labs somewhere deep in the jungle of Venezuela. What would be the international reaction to such a move? I
don't think that would play well internationally. I think there would be a claim of declaring war. Again, back to Laura Loomer, whom I seldom agree with. She says 8% of the drug trade coming to the U.S. has anything to do with Venezuela, and it's not it's not fentanyl, and that's what Trump has said we wanted to do. Of course, we haven't said we're for regime change. In fact, his foreign policy strategy is for strategy, which is for sovereignty, which seems to me not for regime change. But why else would we be in Venezuela at this point? So I think there's a little chaos going on. And for my 2 cents, let me say it again, the rise of terrorism should concern us much more than it does. And our focus should be worldwide on finding ways, using our best talent, to combat it.
It's been historically wise to listen to Jane Harman when she points you to a point of concern more than once in an interview. Jane, I've got about a minute left. President Trump says he's delivering a national address tomorrow night. This just happened on social media, live from the White House at 9 p.m. Eastern. Does an announcement like that make you nervous?
No, I would like the president to offer leadership and explain to the American people what he's doing. I hope he stays focused on whatever the topic is. I'm imagining the topic is health care and the need to find, again, some resolution there. The Republican suggestions are sounding more sensible now, but an ACA extension seems to me the easiest thing we could do. The ACA ain't perfect, but if something doesn't happen in the next 4 days, a whole bunch of Americans, many of whom voted for this president in the last election, are going to be miserable, and that's going to play out in the 2026 elections, and I don't think that's going to be a good look for him.